Hey, I'm Ben Silverio.
I'm Zach Shevich.
And it's time to...
I forgot about it. My bad. Let's do it again.
Hello out there, party people. My name is Ansel Birch, your host in post, and it's time to party. This bloopers episode features Ben Silverio and special guest Zach Shevich. Over the course of our recording session, there were plenty of opportunities for them to make mistakes, goof around, and tell stories that didn't really fit into the rest of the podcast. And all of those pieces have found their home here in this blooper episode for your amusement. We are not doctors. We don't give medical advice. Please drink responsibly and enjoy time to party.
It's funny because I've been using like GarageBand on some form of Mac laptop for how many years now, and I still am like, am I doing this right? Are things recording?
I think that's just the experience with GarageBand, though.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if GarageBand is a masterable piece of software.
But even when we were using those Zoom recorders, you know, like remember what happened with Chris Hardwick?
Yeah.
Like, in the long run, it's fine that we don't have a good record of that because no one needs to hear Chris Hardwick anymore. But you know, at the time, I was kind of distraught about it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the thing about audio. It's like, I feel like it's so subject to little finicky disruptions and things that just like make the whole project.
And that's just the sound engineer.
Exactly.
I want to like make fun of Ben Wong and Rich Hamilton, but like they don't listen to this.
Exactly, right.
So,
like it's references to people that are unknown to the greater public.
It's true.
Unfortunately,
because Ben Wong does a great job at what he does, and so does Rich Hamilton. But like, fucking talking about people that are moving back to Philly. Rich was living in Austin with his wife, and they decided to move back to Philly.
Oh.
But she was like a traveling nurse for a little while or something. She used to be film and video and then switched to nursing. I've seen that happen multiple times from like people that we went to school with.
Yeah.
Someone was in entertainment management and they switched to nursing. And I'm just like, oh, cool. You'd rather have someone die on you than work on a film set? What's that saying about our industry?
I mean, yeah. A lot of people are getting into nursing. I feel like I know a lot. It seems to be like they always need good nurses.
It's true.
And you don't always need more frustrated writers.
Right. Yeah, because they always mistreat nurses, especially now.
Yeah, of all times.
Oh, it's true.
Do you want to ask your producer, because I'm assuming the one that's putting what he thinks about the audio?
He said it should be fine. When I asked him about it earlier.
Recording in the same room?
Yes.
Okay.
He was the one who said, as long as you're not talking over each other, it should be fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we will try extra hard to give ourselves our radio space.
Exactly.
But we're trained at this.
We are.
We
Technically, we have training.
Yeah, you and I have more experience talking for a recorded medium together than most people have experience at things together.
Then most people have had relationships.
Yeah. Yes.
Like longer than some relationships that we've seen.
Yes. Our bullshitting about movies relationship is longer than most people's marriages.
And all we wanted to do was see movies for free.
Exactly.
That's kind of how it started,
Exactly.
Right?
It was all a con.
Ian Abrams was like, "Why don't you guys do this as a thing?"
Yeah. and now we're attempting to make it a career, unfortunately.
Yeah, right? Yeah. God, I wish I could, like, have easier access to Professor Abrams. You know? Because, like, I'd love to check in with him and see how he's doing. My roommate loves Early Edition.
Really?
Yeah, so I was thinking about Abrams recently. And I was just like, I wonder if I drop by Crossings, if he'll be in his office and I can just be like, hey, can you sign this?
I feel like if he had a shred more fame, he'd make a killing on Cameo. I feel like he'd be like excellent.
He'd be so good at Cameo,
delivering snarky messages for $25 a pop.
Yes.
Yeah.
Speaking of our professors, you know George Wendt remembers Bruce Graham.
Really?
Yeah. Because I'm the asshole who walks up to George Wendt in a horror convention and asks him about a fucking play he did by Bruce Graham.
Of course.
You know?
Yeah. That's on the tip of every George Wendt fan's tongue.
I felt like that episode of Frasier when Frasier and Niles go up to this like actor from the Star Trek esque show that they watched when they were younger, who also did Shakespeare. And they were like, oh, we need to put on a play with this guy in it because he's such a good actor. And they were only talking to him about like Shakespeare and stuff instead of the sci-fi thing at the convention they found him at.
Here's my... I'm going to give you a gift because you do more interviews than I do now. But like the thing that when I watch interviews with famous people, and you speak to some famous people.
I do, apparently.
The thing that I always think when I'm watching an interview of famous people that I want to know is like, you know, like you're watching an interview with Keanu Reeves and like, obviously everybody recognizes him from John Wick and everybody recognizes him from Bill and Ted and everybody recognizes him from The Matrix. And I always want to ask him, what's the last time that somebody referenced something that caught you off guard? That like,
that's a great
why
question.
did you remember that?
That is a great question.
Right?
I
like
love
that's
that question.
Nobody's going to answer that question poorly.
It's true.
Yeah. So that's my gift to you for the years of friendship.
Question.
You're welcome.
Oh my God. Sometimes really random stuff comes up in interviews. Like I was wearing a shirt from East West Players in LA. It says, it's an honor just to be Asian. And it's a quote from Sandra Oh. And I was wearing it to my John Cho interview. And he was just like, I don't know if you noticed, but I'm also Asian. And I'm like, I had not noticed. Wow.
Yeah, it's a good thing you turned on your camera.
It's true. Since Ansel's not here, and he's listening to this in the future right now, we can kind of do what we used to do. Take a hit each time. Oh man, was I drinking when I wrote this?
You just wrote nonsense?
No, I actually wrote take a hit each time the ketchup is brought out. But that's not what this rule is. You're gonna cut this part out, Ansel. So I'm gonna change it. What movie right now makes you roll your eyes the most when you see ads and previews and stuff?
I don't know if you're going to like this answer, but I hope... Maybe you do, because you just trashed DC. But Black Adam is the one that I'm like... And yeah, maybe because you got that Rock allegiance too.
I love The Rock, but Black Adam is a Shazam villain. He doesn't need to be introduced as an anti-hero right away. That's
the other thing I don't like is this whole like we're gonna introduce the villains as heroes, but they're villains thing. Like what's going on there?
Yeah, you know, when what's his name? Who did Suicide Squad?
David Ayer?
Yeah. You know, I think David Ayer was the beginning of that. You know, because his film was looking to make these villains cool and relatable, and not all villains need to be cool and relatable. If you want to make Venom cool and relatable, I can see that, you know, like, because there are certain elements of that character that have that aspect to them, but half of the Suicide Squad kills children, right? So it's not like James Gunn was trying to reinvent the wheel there. I mean, he kind of had to after what Ayer did, but you know, he wasn't afraid to show off the gruesomeness of these villains and what they could really do. But Ayer, to me, it felt like he was above all of that, and he could do something high art, you know, just by putting he's making a statement by putting tattoos on the Joker's face.
Damaged.
Oh my God. Talk about terrible production design.
Yeah.
But sometimes villains are villains for a reason. Fuck you, Todd Phillips. Like, fuck you so hard for that bullshit movie.
You're not excited for Joker 2?
The musical?
Do a folie or whatever French bullshit he put at the end of the title.
God. You know me, I love musicals.
Yeah.
And Lady Gaga's cool.
Very cool.
But like, why?
I like Joaquin Phoenix too.
Joaquin Phoenix acted the hell out of that role. Yeah. But the script was terrible. Yeah. The directing was terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about the Joker, in case you don't.
Remember when people were like, oh, people are going to riot after they see Joker? That was a weird moment in film Twitter.
Yeah, right? People are nuts.
Yeah.
It's wild. Like, the fact that people on film Twitter or entertainment Twitter in general caused Constance Wu to, like, contemplate suicide because of a statement that she made about a project. That, and I mean, granted, the statement she made wasn't exactly the best because it was the show that she was, like, making famous and made her famous and all that stuff. But everybody makes mistakes.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to come after her so hard that she, you know, she said that people were saying that she was an embarrassment to her culture.
Yeah. She said, like, another actress reached out to her and said that.
It's fucking wild.
Yeah.
Film and entertainment Twitter is fucking wild.
Yeah. It's not that serious.
It's not that serious. And Beyond the Infinite 2 Minutes is a great example of something in our art form being not serious and so fun.
They cause a time paradox and nothing really happens. It's not that serious.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, granted, the movies where huge paradoxes happen, like, I mean, Umbrella Academy can be a lot of fun, you know, I mean, except for the bits that aren't, but, you know, like, it's, I love a time travel movie that has consequences. The time travel movie or TV show that has consequences, because, like, for a while, that's why I liked The Flash. He was a terrible time traveler, and you would see the results of that until, you know, it pulled an arrow and went on for way too long. But, you know, I guess the Arrowverse is ending now anyway, because the CW is, like, getting sold or whatever.
Yeah.
It's complicated.
Well, I mean, we don't need to get into Netflix politics, but Netflix needs some brands.
Ugh. Especially after what they did to their animation wing.
Yeah.
Like, how could they do that after all of the top-notch animation that they released? I haven't seen it yet, but the one about the Mitchells.
Oh, Mitchell's vs. the Machines. Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, and
although I think technically Sony did that and they bought it, but they just did one recently, the Sea Beast. I don't know if you caught that one.
I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard good things.
It's really good. Like, there's some really awesome shots in there where it's like it's almost like a kaiju movie where they do where the people are tiny and the beast is large, and it's just like the epic scale of it is really cool. I also dug, like, I think a lot of times in especially like family adventure stuff, they're like they try to be like, oh, this is dangerous, and you know they're going to be fine the whole time. And I actually kind of felt like a sense of danger with the Sea Beast, which was
interesting.
Cool. Yeah.
Who's starring in that?
Carl Urban.
Oh, he plays the big Viking dude.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And then, Jared Harris is a big voice in it. Another guy who is a name you would know, but I forgot about it, is also in it.
There's so many Netflix animation projects that are just fun, and then they just abandon that whole wing of their enterprise.
Tuca and Birdie's thriving on Adult Swim.
Are they getting another season?
They're in their third season right now.
Okay.
Yeah, after Netflix canceled it.
When I found out who the leads were, I was like, oh, now I'm interested in this show.
Well, and it's also created by Lisa Hannibal, who did all the art for BoJack Horseman.
Oh, okay. I mean, that makes sense. I can see that in the art style. Yeah. I still haven't seen BoJack Horseman.
It's so good, dude. It's so, speaking of Netflix animation, that is like a top 5, maybe top 3 show for me.
You're not the first person that I've heard say that.
And you know I watch good TV.
Yeah, it's fucking wild that this show about the horse.
Yeah. I mean, it's there's no better show about, like, depression and self-loathing out there.
Wow.
It's about a talking horse. So,
hey, did you like Bo Burnham's Inside?
Yeah, it was amazing.
How fucking wild was that shit? Did you watch the anniversary shit that he put out?
Yeah, it was incredible. I mean, like, yeah, it's so good. It's incredible that he has evolved into this, like, multi-talented artist, because it's more than just, like, it's more than songs and jokes, right? Like, it's really performance and the production design of it too. Like, it's just like White Woman's Instagram doesn't work if he doesn't, like, do those aesthetics better than most people on Instagram.
I was just gonna bring up that song in particular because, like, his content has managed to evolve to have such heart, you know, and it hits you right in the feels when you get to the punchline of White Woman's Instagram, and I'm just like, fuck.
Yeah, art. I feel like Art is Dead was really a turning point in his career, and when he wrote that song, he realized like, oh, this is like actually the direction that my stuff needs to go in, and this is more than just like me making funny songs.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know if you saw or felt any way about 8th Grade, but I also thought that was like the best movie I saw.
It was so good.
Yeah.
Like, I saw that some schools were requiring students to watch it.
That's awesome.
Or encouraging their students to watch it at least. Because it's a very realistic and authentic portrayal of that stuff.
I had a niece going into 8th grade when that movie was coming out, and I was like, please watch this movie. Please. Like, you will relate so hard. Please. And she's like, nah. She's into the Hunger Games. Nah.
I tried to show my nieces a Goofy movie. Yeah. And they were like, Goofy has his own movie? Goofy has a kid? And I'm just like, please just watch it. This is such a good movie. You're going to fucking love it. And I mean, I didn't say fuck to these little kids, but
you wanted to.
I wanted to. But they wouldn't give it the time of day. Yeah. And they're just like, can we watch Moana? And I'm like, okay, fine. Because Moana's great too.
Yeah. You should just be happy they're watching movies and not TikTok. Can I just say my one frustration with a lot of that right now is like I feel like they keep
here comes the killjoy.
No, but it's just like I feel like they keep introducing people and it's like, all right, I'll see you in 2025. Like when are we getting the next Harry Styles appearance in the MCU? You know what I mean? How long do I have to wait before like we know what the fuck is up with that Charlize Theron character? There's a lot of like, oh, the interesting stuff is over there. Okay, I'll see you soon.
But like that's part of the fun of comics, right? Like that's why I love the MCU, because like they've managed to take comic book storytelling and adapt it to a different medium in a way that's fun, interesting, and like it makes people excited. Mm-hmm. And the people who don't get excited for it are just like, bro, do you hate fun? Like, just enjoy it, man. Like, these are the types of things that I was craving as a child. Mm. You know, like when I would like make my own like movies with my action figures telling a different story, because like I love a crossover. Mm. And now we're finally at a point in the MCU where crossovers make sense in big giant ways with big budgets. Sure, sometimes they're not utilizing the volume in good ways, but like it's new technology, right? Yeah. Not everyone is the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Like some people were complaining about the VFX for Thor and how how Taika's use of the volume didn't shine through as well as on the Mandalorian. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, suspend disbelief? Like, I don't know what to tell you, dude, if you're paying that much attention. I don't know. I think it's fun having an interconnected universe with TV and films.
I get how it's like a dream come true. It's just like, it's a lot. It's a lot to watch.
The thing that bothers me is that people look at it like it's the only thing. And it's clearly not the only thing. Like, we've just been talking about this little movie from Japan, you know, and it's out there for people to see. Mm-hmm. Just, if you don't want to consume the media that the mainstream is giving you, there's other shit out there. Back in the day, I didn't want to listen to boy bands or Britney Spears, mostly because of peer pressure, but like I was exposed to like punk and pop punk and emo music, you know, because I looked other places. You don't have to just take what's right in front of you, right?
Yeah. That's why I can't stand these people who are like, how dare they not give my favorite show a 5th season? It's like we struggled to get our shows past season 1.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, it's definitely not like back in the day with Cheers getting 11 seasons. Or even Scrubs getting that terrible 9th season. Yeah. Like, TV is different now, you know? And like, sure, that could be because of big studios making TV shows now, but like that's just how it is, right? Da-da-da-da, born a rambling man.
There we go.
I couldn't remember how it started. Because initially I was going to start singing The Gambler by Kenny Rogers, and I'm like, that's not the same song.
Yeah, it's not.
But Important Lessons.
And also the title of a movie.
It is?
Yeah.
Is it?
With Mark Wahlberg, and I believe that's a remake of something, but...
Does Mark Wahlberg play Kenny Rogers?
Nah, he plays the gambler.
Yeah, so Kenny Rogers.
I don't think it's based on the Kenny Rogers song.
But it should be.
Maybe the Kenny Rogers song is for the original movie. I think what's the dude who... James Caan was in the original movie. Yeah.
James Caan is someone who would know when to hold them and know when to fold them and when to walk away.
And so look up whether or not this song was written for the movie, and then don't tell anybody, but just so you know.
Oh, well, now I know, and I really want to tell you. So instead, I'm going to tell you that I found out that there are a lot of movies that seem like they could be related to this song, and they're not. But one of them was a 2013 film called A Gambling Man, which was a short starring some people I've never heard of, but directed by Ansel Faraj, which I only want to bring up because it's so rare that I run into other people with my same first name. But if you do search up The Gambler by Kenny Rogers, don't worry, you'll get the answer really fast. Wikipedia even will get you the answer really fast. Good luck out there.
Oh my God. Songs written for movies. Like, it's wild, some of these. One of my favorite ones is The Prayer by Andrea Bocelli and Celine Dion.
Yeah, things that you wouldn't expect.
Yeah. Like, that movie, or that song, was written for Quest for Camelot. An animated movie that was basically a retelling of Arthurian lore. But I recently came across this fun fact when I was going through my streaming services and looking for something to watch. And I ended up watching Night Shift, which was a 1982 comedy by Ron Howard, starring Henry Winkler and Michael Keaton.
Wow.
Michael Keaton in his first starring role.
Wow.
And the female lead, Shelley Long.
Naturally.
She plays a sex worker. And Henry Winkler and Michael Keaton work in a morgue. And they somehow end up with an escort business. But
that's what it does.
Like, this is all fucking wild, right? Like, for people who've never heard of this movie, I'm sure this is wildly insane. But this fact is my favorite thing about this movie. Do you know the song That's What Friends Are For by Rod Stewart?
Of course.
So Burt Bacharach wrote that song for this movie.
Really?
Yes. Huh. Isn't that fucking nuts?
That's very random.
I talk about this whenever I remember it and it comes up in conversation.
This is your party fact?
I mean, it's one of them. Just like how Pac-Man was originally named Puck-Man.
That one I knew.
Yeah, because we've both seen Scott Pilgrim.
There was a documentary at the 2022 South by Southwest Film Festival that I did not see.
Okay.
But it's called Self-Portrait. And it is a portrait made entirely out of surveillance footage.
Oh?
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting and maybe tangentially related. And if you've ever seen the film In the Same Breath, that's a film about early COVID outbreaks in China. And there's this unreal sequence where the director Nanfu Wang basically like charts the outbreak in COVID through the security camera footage from outside the pharmacy closest to where they think the outbreak happened.
Insane.
Yeah. A lot of cool ways to use security camera footage for films.
It's true. It feels like Beyond the Infinite 2 Minutes and the micro-genre that it's part of, which is characterized by low-budget, one-shot Japanese films. It seems like that's a response to the pandemic. You know, like, it not only is it limiting releases, but it's limiting how film sets are run and, you know, the things that you have to do to keep things safe. You talk about Shudder. Full disclosure, my friend is in this movie. But I thought it was a very good movie. It's called Revealer. It's about a stripper and a pro-life protester who gets stuck in a peep show booth and have to prepare for the apocalypse. It's kind of like if the Satanic Panic like really happened, right? But they filmed during COVID, and it's a small feature with a very small cast, mostly 2 people on screen, but occasionally 3, like very rarely more than 3. So when COVID affects a movie like that and forces them to be creative, I think then it's interesting. But also, my favorite piece of COVID media that's come out is Mythic Quest.
Yeah.
They did that so well, and even though it was like through Zoom and was quote unquote about COVID, it wasn't about COVID. And I think that's why it succeeded so well. Also, the performances from Poppy and I always want to call him Mac, and that's not his name.
McElhinney.
Yeah. What's his character's name on Mythic Quest?
Ian?
Ian. Yes, it's Ian. I love that show. It's so good.
I feel like there's a dwindling few hangout workplace sitcoms, and like that and Abbott Elementary are really holding the torch right now.
And I feel like the It's Always Sunny guys have had to constantly be innovative with low budgets because that's where they came from. You know, that's how it started until they got Dan DeVito.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like from the origins of the show where they shot it themselves to those first couple seasons where it is really scrappy. Yeah, and I think you get a lot of that spirit in these COVID movies that have been popping up because they are much smaller. I mean, hopefully you haven't seen The Bubble.
I was going to bring up The Bubble.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a lot of these productions are bubbles. Beyond the Infinite 2 Minutes definitely feels like it was at least some sort of bubble, given how few people seemed on that set. But I think the thing is about when you are limited like that, it forces people to be creative. It forces filmmakers to try and work up against those boundaries. I don't know if you saw or were a fan of The White Lotus. I mean, it's not necessarily the best show, but it's a really good show, and pretty incredible considering how fast he turned that around.
Yeah.
You know, but I think it goes to show you, like, he had a circumstance where there were limited options available to him, and he decided to, you know, make the most of it and found a really interesting setup enough that they're not going to do the second season of that show. So yeah, it really is about like how you use the circumstances to you know, do something unexpected.
Yeah. If you want to find us on the internet, I am at bsilverio20 on Instagram and Twitter.
I'm at Z Shevich on Instagram, Twitter, Letterboxd, and I do a podcast called Intercut Pod.
And you're on YouTube.
Yeah, I do Multiplex Show on YouTube, and I do TikTok too, even though it's an evil program that's designed to harvest all your data. But yeah, I mean, I'll take some followers while we're at
it. You can find me at Indecisionist on Twitter and at The Indecisionist on Instagram. This has been an Indecisionist production. Special thanks to April Moralba for our podcast art, and to Marlon Longan of Marlon and the Shakes for our amazing theme song.
If you want to join in on the conversation, use the hashtag #TimeToParty. That's time, the number 2, party. Until our next episode where we take you down some timeline or 2 minutes into the future or to an alternate universe, maybe, if you're lucky. Just remember one thing: be excellent to each other.
And party on, dudes.
I don't know. Oh man, Ansel's gonna have a lot to edit.
Yeah,
on that episode.
Hopefully fun stuff.
Hopefully fun stuff.
Yeah, we had a fun time.